It was one of those bone-chilling winter evenings in the city, the kind where the wind cuts through even the thickest layers, and time seems to move slower with every gust. The bus stop on 5th and Main was unusually crowded, and the delay in bus schedules had everyone frustrated. People were checking their phones, stomping their feet for warmth, and pulling scarves tighter around their faces. Among the crowd stood Daniel Reyes, a 26-year-old part-time barista and night school student. He had just finished an 8-hour shift and was exhausted, hungry, and silently dreading the long ride home to his cramped studio apartment. But his eyes caught something that pulled his focus away from his own discomfort. There, near the end of the bench, stood a woman in her mid-40s, clutching her arms tightly to her chest. She wore a light blouse and a pencil skirt, not nearly enough for the freezing weather. Her shoulders trembled uncontrollably. Her face, though partially hidden beneath messy hair, showed exhaustion and worry. She didn't look like the rest of the crowd. No phone. No complaining. Just silence. Without hesitation, Daniel stood up, walked over, and removed his only winter jacket. "Ma'am, please," he said gently, "you look cold. Take this." The woman blinked up at him, surprised. "Are you sure? You'll freeze." "I'll be fine." "You need it more than I do," he replied with a faint smile. She hesitated, then slowly took the jacket. "Thank you," she whispered. They didn't speak again after that. The bus arrived 20 minutes later, and they both got on. Daniel sat at the back. The woman sat near the front, quietly wrapping herself in his jacket like a lifeline. What Daniel didn't know was that the woman he just helped was Clara Whitmore, the CEO of Whitmore Enterprises, a billion-dollar tech company. But that night, Clara wasn't a CEO. She was a mother, a widow, and a woman whose world had started to fall apart. That morning, her teenage son had been suspended from school again. The pressure of running a company and single parenting had finally cracked something inside her. She had stormed out of her office after an argument with her board, lost her driver in the chaos, and had forgotten her coat in her assistant's car. She was trying to disappear, even if only for an hour. Daniel's act of kindness, small, simple, and selfless, had reached her in a moment of quiet despair. She sat on the bus that night, holding a stranger's jacket and silently crying, not from the cold but from the warmth of unexpected humanity. 3 weeks later, Daniel received a letter. It was hand-delivered to the cafe where he worked. It bore no return address, just a silver W embossed on the envelope. Inside was a thank you note and an invitation to come to Whitmore Enterprises for a meeting. Confused and thinking it might be some promotional scam, Daniel ignored it at first. But curiosity got the better of him, and on his day off, he showed up. To his shock, he was escorted straight to the top floor, into a sleek, modern office where Clara Whitmore herself waited. She looked different, confident, commanding, but her eyes still carried that same vulnerability from the bus stop. "You probably don't remember me," she said with a smile. "But you offered me your jacket 3 weeks ago. You didn't know who I was. You didn't ask for anything. You just gave." Daniel stood frozen, stunned. Clara continued, "In a world where people only give when they can get something back, your kindness stood out. You reminded me of the values I once built this company on. And I think we need more people like you here." She offered him a full-time job, entry-level, yes, but with full benefits, training, and a chance to grow. More than that, she offered to sponsor his education, saying she believed in paying forward the moment that changed her. Daniel accepted. Life didn't transform overnight. He still faced long hours and tough days. He struggled to adapt to the corporate environment. There were moments he doubted himself, times he felt too small in the large glass building of success. But Clara mentored him personally. She reminded him often, leadership begins with heart. You already have that. Years passed. Daniel rose through the ranks. He didn't just thrive, he innovated. He brought real change. He helped start community outreach programs through the company, offering jobs and scholarships to young people from disadvantaged backgrounds, just like him. And one day, as Clara prepared to step down from her role, she announced something few expected. "I'm naming Daniel Reyes as the new CEO of Whitmore Enterprises," she said to a stunned room. Because sometimes, the greatest leaders come from the humblest places, and they rise not because of power, but because of compassion. The lesson? You never know who you're helping when you choose kindness. That small moment, giving away a jacket, was more than charity. It was a turning point in two lives. In a world that often tells us to take, Daniel chose to give. And that choice, simple and sincere, lit a path that would lead him far beyond anything he could have imagined. Because greatness doesn't always begin with ambition, sometimes, it begins with a jacket on a cold night.